Hi, I'm Dr. Joanna Herrera. I'm a co-founder of Circle of Hope. I'm a parent group facilitator at the Jabi to the teens. So, the mission of Circle of Hope is to bring hope and transformation through compassion. So, it's really about bringing hope through suffering. So, suffering is a part of life, but we're here to be together and to accompany people who are suffering. So, in a more concrete way, we provide psychological services, mental health, and support groups to cancer patients, particularly adolescents and their parents here at PGH. So PISTA is really about coming together. More often than not, when we're suffering, we feel like we're alone, we're isolated. But this is a way of reminding ourselves that we're not complete unless we're together. We're not complete unless we reach out to other people. So it's compassion that makes others happy, but it's also in the reaching out that we make ourselves happier people.
I am Carlos Pizarro. I work with COH as part of the staff that works with the parents of those with cancer. Circle of Hope envisions a community of compassionate people from all backgrounds, trying to help and enrich the lives of those we serve, especially here in PGH. The pista that we are having here highlights the culmination of our activities for the year and what we have chosen this year for the parents. In fact, it's the parents' choice to have is a fashion show, and we will highlight what they can be when they are all dressed up, made up, and their best.
I'm Dr. Rod Peñalosa, also known as Kuya Rod. I am the program coordinator at Circle of Hope. Circle of Hope is an organization that is centered around kapwa or pakikipagkapwa culture, which encompasses the idea of inclusivity, empowerment, compassion for self and others. Pista is this year is our second Pista, which is a celebration of human connection. It is to honor everyone who is involved in the community, an honoring and gratitude giving for all that has happened, for the resiliency, for the love, for the healing, for the transformation that has been given and provided by every member of the community. It's been said that anyone and everyone who becomes part of the Circle of Hope family has something to offer and has something to gain.
Ako po si Patricia Larce. I am 20 years old. Yung Circle of Hope po, it helped me to have confidence sa mga events po na ginagawa namin kasi noon na napanghihinaan ako ng loob and ang daming thoughts na bumabagabag sa isip ko na parang hindi mo na kaya. Pero sila yung nagbigay sa akin ng hope and ng confidence na magpatuloy sa laban. And ayun, dahil sa mga taong nandito sa Circle of Hope, sila din yung isa sa mga nagbigay ng impact talaga sa buhay ko kasi sila yung palaging nandyan, sila yung kahit na hindi mo araw-araw nakikita. Kapag nakita mo naman, parang ganun pa rin yung feeling na welcome ka pa rin sa kanila and sila yung palagi kong nahihinga ng advices. Ayun, kaya parang ang gaan na eto, nandito na naman ako, sineselebrate na naman namin yung pagiging survivor namin.
Hi, I'm CK. I'm 18 years old and I'm a leukemia survivor. I felt more loved sa Teen Barkada. Tsaka po, I felt na hindi po ako pala ganun ka-different na special, pero hindi lang po pala ako yung naghihirap. Madami din po pala, kaya marami po akong karamay. Kaya somehow supported, very supported, tsaka po parang nadagdagan po yung family member ko.
Hello po, ako po si Ching Maricale, 19 years old. Nag-start po yung Teen Barkada. Nakakasali po ako doon and marami din po nakilala mga friends. And yung mga ginagawa po sa Teen Barkada is laking tulong din po para ma-process po yung emotion namin, yung may napagsasabihan po kami ng mga problema namin or nung anumang gusto namin i-share na hindi namin kaya i-share sa iba. Yun, malaking tulong po yung Circle of Hope kasi nandyan po sila lagi. na kahit di mo sila kasama, pwede mo sila makontak. Maaasahan mo sila lagi sa bawat oras.
Ako po si Michael Angelo, si Obusan, 22 years old. Ako po ay isa sa mga kuya na ngayon, nag-facilitate po kung saan kami magkikita-kita. Tapos ako po yung nag-aano sa kanila kung kamusta na sila at sana ako yung pumipilit sa kanila na umunta. Hindi naman sa pumipilit na kailangan talaga nila umunta kasi kwentuhan tapos yung marami silang sinasabi sa akin tapos nag-advise ako sa kanila kasi isa rin yun sa nakuha ko sa mga ate at kuya kasi ganun sila Doc Rod or sila Doc Javi, Ralph, marami pa silang tinuturo about sa amin kung paano i-handle ng mga problema tsaka sa mga about sa sakit, mga ganyan. Tapos yun, ina-apply ko naman yun sa kanila na dituro ko naman po.
Thank you po, Circle of Hope. Napasaya niyo po ako, tsaka po, thankful po ako para sa Circle of Hope. Nandyan po sila at times nung kailangan ko sila, naging support ako po sila. Other than my family, naging support ako din po sila. Tsaka po, love. Thank you po sa love, tsaka sa care. Yun po.
Sa Circle of Hope Community po, thank you so much po sa lahat ng tulong, sa simula umpisa hanggang ngayon po, di niyo po kami pinapabayaan at iniiwan. At patuloy niyo po kaming sinusuportahan sa anumang mga pagsubok na new journey namin sa buhay, like sa study namin or sa ano pa mang ano. And thank you din po sa lahat ng opportunity na binigay niyo po sa amin na ma-experience namin yung pag-modeling, yung mga kung ano pa. So yun po. Nakapag-experience kami ng prom na kahit na may sakit kami, na-experience namin yon. Kaya thank you po sa lahat po and God bless po.
Sobrang salamat kasi dahil sa inyo, dahil sa group na to, nagkakaroon kami ng life. Yung life namin, yung journey namin dito sa PGH is hindi boring, hindi malungkot, full of something na hindi namin makakalimutan sa madami pang sa madami pang panahon or madaming years na mabubuhay kami. We will treasure the memories we had with you.
Good morning and welcome to Mind Yourself, cultivating resilience and hope from the inside out. We're very happy that you have joined us for this virtual summit. Since the pandemic broke out in March, Circle of Hope has realigned its services to make mental health and well-being resources available to frontliners, especially our healthcare workers, and to the general public. We are in undeniably challenging times, and the mission of igniting hope has become ever more important. At Circle of Hope, we believe that hope is not so much about instant miracle cures as it is about intentional living, compassion, and community. In this summit, we've put together learning sessions and activities to help equip us with mindsets and skills that can help us thrive and become resilient in coping with our for now and next normal. Together, we can draw courage from each other to radically accept these realities and adapt in ways that open possibilities for an even better and brighter future. In light of the global health emergency we have been facing, our hope for the present and future is kindled by our capacity to embrace opportunities and turning points. We are pinning our hopes on our exercise of inner freedom, skillfulness, wisdom, and compassion for one another. Today is day 2 of Mind Yourself, which focuses on the theme Alpas. Alpas is a Filipino term for breaking free. When we experience crisis and suffering, our minds activate a stress response that has a tendency to veer our thoughts and perspectives towards a negativity bias. As a result, we get stuck with a problem mindset that blocks off opportunities and possibilities to grow and thrive. Hence, today, our aim is to offer resources that can help us get unstuck from our sense of limitedness by opening doors to new skills and new knowledge that can make us feel more empowered to face unfamiliar situations. We have a variety of webinars that you can choose to attend. This morning, we have strategies to make the most of learning at home, a guide for parents by seasoned educator, teacher Tina Zamora. We also have working from home or living in the office, organizational strategies for work-life balance by psychologist Miss Melinda Tan and her executive functioning team. And we also have staying healthy and happy, nurturing resilience among older adults by Dr. Emma Lianto from the Philippine General Hospital. We thank our partners and sponsors for supporting this event. What If Manila, Blogger XPH, T Radio, Pinoy Rap Radio, Hello PH Tourism, 3J. We hope you will feel empowered by today's activities. Lastly, we invite everyone to support Hope Fund, Circle of Hope's crowdfunding effort to help us continue our mental health support for healthcare workers, our PGH team patients, and other vulnerable communities. It only takes 1 peso to keep hope alive. You can contribute to Hope Fund through our website, www.circleofhopecommunity.com. Enjoy.
Thank you, Dr. Jabi. Welcome, everyone. Those of you who are joining us here on Zoom and live on Teacher Tina's Facebook page. As schools roll out home-based programs due to the pandemic, parents are facing the unprecedented challenge of having to take on a more active role in their children's academic learning. Many parents are feeling rather unprepared and daunted by this responsibility. In this webinar, a seasoned educator and school directress provides guidance and strategies that can empower parents to step into their new role and optimally support learning from home. Teacher Tina Zamora has been an educator for 20 years and is one of the leading resource person on family life, parenting, child development, and progressive education. She is one of the most growth-oriented people that I know. She's an amazing human being, and I'm honored to call her a mentor and a friend. Teacher Tina's new book, School is Life, just came out this month, and we're giving away 2 copies to 2 lucky winners today for the best question or insight. We have a great team monitoring the chat boxes on Zoom and Facebook Live, and we'll gather the questions for Q&A later. Good morning, Teacher Tina.
Good morning, Paula. And
Gosh,
good morning
I'm
to
so
everyone.
excited.
I'm so excited also, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I miss you, Teacher Paula. Do you miss teaching?
I miss teaching, not so much the paperwork, but I do miss the kids and being in classrooms, and
Hindi rin
thank you
namin
for being
namimiss
an
yun.
inspiration.
Yeah, we also don't miss the paperwork. But right now, I think if you talk to any private school teacher or public school teacher, we are working 10 times harder now, more than ever. So
Yeah, I
stay
can
where you
only
are. You're doing a
imagine.
wonderful job in Circle of Hope. Okay, so let's start, Paula.
Yes, sure.
All right.
Let's
So
go.
welcome everyone. Um, the title of my presentation right now is Strategies to Make the Most of Learning at Home, a guide for parents. As you know, mommies and daddies, it's going to be a very difficult school year. Um, we're here to help you out, manage your 24/7. You're together all the time. Okay, it's going to be difficult. I haven't talked to a parent and said it's going to be an easy school year, regardless. So, what I'm going to do right now is to show you a couple of slides, and after that, we'll be getting questions from um, the Facebook page in Teacher Tina Zamora and also from the Zoom call that we're in right now. And let's allow me to help you out. And then I just give you a basic definition first of the modalities that are happening right now. What are the issues and concerns that we encountered when we started classes, and to help you out. Kasi mahirap po talaga itong school year na to, and nandito po kami para tulungan po kayo. Alright? Okay, so let's start with the first slide. Okay, so in any parenting webinar that I speak in, I always tell the parents that parenting is not usually about your children. Parenting is all about you. All right, so my first question is, how are you? How are you in this pandemic? Is it difficult? Are you a frontliner? Are you a mother of 3 to 4 children having online schooling at the same time? How are you? Because mommies and daddies, the energy that we're going to give our children always comes from us. We are the barometer. We're not the thermometer. Barometer is we set the energy. We don't just measure the energy. So every day when you wake up, I'm so glad that Circle of Hope and Dr. Jabi is always talking about this. Every morning when we wake up, we pause and ask ourselves, how am I today? Because that is that the energy that we're going to give our children who are learning at home. Okay? My next question is, especially at this time, is who are you as a parent? Who are you right now? Are you a frontliner? Are you a stay-at-home mom? Do you have work from home also? Is your spouse also with you working from home? Because all of us are, stuck together 24/7. So who are you right now as a parent? And lastly, what is your role right now? I'm going to explain this later when I describe the different roles that parents are having right now because of learning at home. All right, so this is all about you, parents and mommies and daddies and lolas, because a lot of lolas are also taking care of their grandchildren's online schooling or homeschooling. So sit back and let us help you. All right, so I'm going to describe first the different modalities of learning at home. For a lot of you or for most of you, you've already chosen, right? But for those who's still iffy, who still has questions, or those who are still going to start in October because DepEd moved to October, and for those who already started, let's just go through the different modalities right now. So first, I'm going to discuss 3 modalities. That's homeschooling, blended learning, and distance learning. All right. So let's start with homeschooling. Right. I'd also like to greet the homeschoolers of the Philippines who are watching right now. I think they're having a watch party for this video. Thank you for your support. If you are a homeschooler, you should be a member of Homeschoolers of the Philippines. It is the biggest and best group of parents who are doing homeschooling now. Now, what does homeschooling mean? Homeschooling, number 1, is you are enrolled with a homeschool provider or parent, or the parent may plan the curriculum independently. All right, so there are a lot of homeschool providers. It can be a physical school providing homeschool programs, or just a homeschool provider providing curriculum for parents that they can use at home. What is the role of the parent? The parent is the main facilitator and teacher, meaning the provider will just give you the curriculum, but you will facilitate and you will be the teacher at home. Now, later on, we're going to talk about some hybrids that happened because of the pandemic, but mainly this is your role. You are the facilitator and teacher at home. It may be a mix of offline and online experience depending on the decision and the plan of the parent. Right now, there are homeschool providers that also provide online classes for some subjects. But if you choose to go entirely offline because you are the parent and the facilitator, then that's also your choice. So that is homeschooling. The second one is blended learning. Now, for blended learning, this is done usually in the provinces where there is a low or halos wala pong cases of COVID. Because the first definition of blended learning is it is a mix of face-to-face interaction between teachers and students plus learning via the use of online technology. So, minsan po papasok sila kasi pwede po silang pumasok, mababa po ang cases ng COVID, and sometimes they're at home doing online classes. They are enrolled in a school providing online teaching and online and offline learning materials. And the parent is a guardian that may be needed to be nearby for technical, safety, and curricular issues during online classes. So this is a role that you will also see later when we discuss distance learning, but it's also a role in blended learning because you also have online classes for blended, right? Apart from you also bring your child physically to school for some days. And the last modality that we are discussing right now is distance learning. Distance learning or online learning is what most of us are going through right now, especially in the Metro Manila or Metro Cebu, or for those places that have very high COVID cases. There is no face-to-face interaction between teachers and students. That's the first definition. Learning is via the use of online technology, meaning your child should have a gadget plus an internet connection. All right? Distance learning also means you are enrolled in a school providing online teaching and online or offline learning materials, very much like blended learning also. And again, the parent is a guardian that may be needed to be nearby for technical, safety, and curricular issues. And we'll discuss that later. So we have 3: homeschooling, blended learning, and distance learning. And you can reserve all your questions at the end. Okay? Now, every time you are planning anything for your child, the number one thing that you are going to think about is environment. Environment, there are 4 types of environment that I will discuss right now. There's physical, there's temporal, which is your schedule, that now we have an online environment. And then lastly, which is the root of all the concerns right now, is the interpersonal environment. Dito lang po sa 4 na ito, you've covered all the issues for learning at home. All right? So let's go through first the physical environment. In physical environment, parents, your home is the physical classroom. So you need to be laying out your space in order for it to be the classroom of your child. At the same time, it is still the home of your child and the home of all the members of the family. Okay? Next, there should be an assigned space for your child to be attending his classes or working on his online activities. Now, for most people living in the metro, and I think we also have participants who are also students, so you can just also listen in and figure out. We've spoken to professors who are doing online teaching in China, and in China they have also small houses and small units of residence. So you know what some of the college students do? They go ride the bus because in buses there's free Wi-Fi. And then they do their classes there because it's synchronous classes. And I'll explain synchronous classes in a while. But if you're at home 24/7, there should be an assigned space for your child. Okay lang po sa kwarto. Sinasabi lang po namin wag po sana sa kama kasi nakakaantok naman yan. Okay lang po sa lamesa or like the dining area. They can be all together. You just have to have certain areas for each child. And if you can have later on, we'll be suggesting hardware that you can also get so that hindi po sila nagkakarinigan. Another definition of your physical environment is the space should be away from busy or noisy activity at the time of your child's classes. Kaya ang nakikita po namin minsan problema ay siya. Did you all see the meme of the barking dog or the noisy neighbor? It really, really happens. That's why mindfulness is important, because if you're mindful, you can drown out all those noises from your brain, because you're living in Manila, you're really going to encounter these problems. Pero kung maiiwasan po or we can avoid them, please choose a place where it's quiet and your child can focus. Next is, everything your child needs should be within reach. I tell parents, if you were not neat or organized before, this is the time to be organized and neat, because your child, it's really difficult for your child to be in an online class. It's more difficult if they cannot find their materials. So if we can prepare that in advance, we prep the space, the physical space, then it's better. And then lastly, before we go to temporal space, the gadget to be used is usually specified by the school. Later on, we're going to tell you do not have to buy expensive gadgets. Just talk to your school kung ano ba talaga yung kailangang gadget for them to go online. All right? Or if no gadget at all, if you chose an offline modality like homeschooling, or there are schools that just send learning materials for your homes. The next kind of, so we're done with physical. Now we're going to go to temporal environment. Temporal environment is your schedule. Your child will have, if they are enrolled for blended or distance learning, will have two kinds of classes: synchronous classes and asynchronous classes, or asynchronous classes. What are synchronous classes? Since synchronous classes are live, meaning real time, they get to talk to their teacher and their classmates. These are not flexible classes, meaning there are schedules for the synchronous classes of your children. Then there is asynchronous classes or activities that they can be done offline. The schedule is in the virtual classroom. And then, but my suggestion is you follow a regular schedule in order for him to complete the asynchronous activities. So, ibig po sabihin nun, pareho lagi ang oras kung kailan siya nagsuschoolwork. It doesn't mean that if it's an asynchronous activity, can be done anytime. We would rather that your child has a routine so that your children will know what is going to happen next, or they can plan their time and plan their day. They can plan their playtime. They can plan their free time for themselves if we allot a regular study schedule for your children, regardless if it is asynchronous. Okay? The next environment is online environment. Okay, so if you are preparing the physical space and you are preparing the temporal space, you also have to prepare the online environment of both your child and your online environment. So the first is you have to curate your family's news feed. I'm sure Doc Javi or Teacher Paula will agree with me that whatever energy you want to have regarding learning at home, if you want it to be positive, then you have to curate your news feed. That you have to choose what you're going to see in your FB page or your news feed of Facebook or Instagram or any social media, that it also gives you positive vibes for the day. Because there was one time I saw an article that says, these Zoom classes, they're impossible. So it's not going to help you. Your child will really have online classes if you chose distance learning or blended learning. So you need to curate the newsfeed and the newsfeed of your children. Number two, that's very important for online environment, is you have to protect your privacy. And we're going to tell you later why it's important for you to be near your child while they're online. Because you need to protect the data of your family. You need to protect, pag nag-zoom kayo, nakikita yung bahay ninyo, nakikita kayo. So that's also privacy. So you have to be careful when your child is online. And I'm sure you saw the meme already that the child holding a phone, having an online class, and nagbibihis pala si mommy. Okay? So that's why you always ask for a guardian or a parent nearby, depending on the age of your child. And number three, very important, is you have to be aware of your child's online playground. What kind of games is he playing? Is it detrimental to his health? Nakakatulog pa ba siya? Nakakakain pa ba siya? If it affects all of that, then we probably have to tweak his online environment. And lastly, we are in the interpersonal environment. Wow, ang bilis ko. This is the last slide. Because I want to reserve all my energy. I think I see a lot of questions already being prepared for us right now. Okay, for interpersonal environment, I want to dwell on this slide because since we've started online classes, this is where all the concerns really, really come from. You know, parents, I understand that we're in a pandemic, it's worldwide. I need you to think of this. And I think I learned this from Dr. Jabi when I was talking to her at the start of this quarantine, that everyone is in grief. We lost a life that we were used to, right? So we also need to treat our children like they are in grief. And di ba po pag may namamatayan, mas maingat kayo magsalita sa kanya. Pag may sakit ang isang bata, mas maingat kayo makipag-usap, di ba? That is always our mindset when we are talking to our children and to our spouses. Everyone is going through the same thing. And grace, compassion, and kindness right now is what you need to really make the most out of homeschooling or learning at home. So in interpersonal environment, like in the classroom, relationship always precedes everything else. If you have a relationship with your child, if your child has a relationship with her teacher, then okay na tayo. But right now kasi, they do not see their teacher and they do not see their classmate. So first, what is the first interpersonal relationship that you have to take care of? You have to take care of you and your child. Do you know your child well enough? Right now, even if you are physically together 24/7, it doesn't mean you are socially near each other. You can also be socially distant while physically near each other. It doesn't mean that you are connected, even if you're in the same home. So how are you going to make the most of a home learning? You have to get to know your child. Talk to him on a daily basis. Kasi pwede kayong hindi nag-uusap kahit magkasama kayo 24/7 sa bahay. So this is where you will know his nuances. I was just talking to one parent who's having an issue with a 10-year-old son, because your children are going through the same developmental traits or developmental problems or issues that they will encounter in the physical world. And now they're experiencing that 24/7 with you inside the house. It's also very frustrating for him. So talking to him and conversing with your child should be on top of your list. Okay? So another interpersonal relationship that you need to take care of is your child and his teachers. Meaning, madami po kaming kinounsel na schools na apart from the parent-teacher conference, you should also have student-teacher conferences. Now more than ever, that you should have a one-on-one with the teacher and the student just to ask how the student is. Because a lot of students speak freely more with the teachers than their parents. And wag po kayo magtatampo kung ganun. Ganun po talaga. They would rather talk to their teacher. And sana schools can also take the opportunity to provide more student-teacher conferences. Okay? The next slide is, the next interpersonal environment is you and your child's teachers. What is your relationship with your child's teacher? This is important because mag-partners po tayo, mommies and daddies. We cannot do this alone because you are the physical entity in the house. We deliver the curriculum via online classes, but your guidance at home is very crucial. At the same time, we also ask you that you are the guardian for technology issues, privacy, and guidance, but our goal for our children is for them to learn. So, ano pong ibig sabihin nun? If we give them or prompt them all the time the answers to whatever question the teacher is saying, then we defeat the purpose of learning being the goal. Diba? You know what? Kung nag-worry kayo kung anong score ang makukuha ng anak ninyo or babagsak ba siya, I don't think anyone is going to fail this year. Actually, the opportunity here is a more qualitative assessment for schools because the parents are the students are not in the classroom. You should have a more creative way of assessing them, not testing them, but assessing them. So scores right now is not the number one priority. So why provide answers or why stress your child in an already stressful situation? Just be there when you're needed. Teacher will call you, Mommy, parang hindi ko po siya nakikita sa screen. 'Di ba? Kasi minsan po, yung lola na po ang magiging estudyante namin. Pumapasok na po siya sa screen at sinasabi na po niya yung sagot. Alright? And lastly, I'm sorry, while we're talking about you and your child's teachers, your child should also have a relationship with his classmates. So if you are homeschooling, you should also give an opportunity for your child to connect with other children who are probably also homeschooled, or you have a Zoom party together, Zoom play group, call a friend who has the same age child. Now more than ever, your child has to connect with other children. It's impossible right now physically, but please make an opportunity for him to connect with other children via online conferences. Actually, may nakarinig na nga ako ng birthday parties done in Zoom, tapos nagpapadala yung mommy ng mga souvenirs. Parents can be so creative, but the most important thing is you have to encourage your child to reach out to other children. Okay? And lastly, before we go to the Q&A is, you need to take care of the relationship of your child and the other family members. Because as I will remind you, you're together 24/7. It's going to be hard. There are going to be arguments. And that's part of a relationship, of a deep relationship. I don't think a deep relationship never had arguments. If somebody tells you in a marriage, we never fight, that's a question mark already. Tama ba ako, Doc Javi or Teacher Paula? Arguments and difficult interaction with one another is part of making your relationships deeper. So you have to take care of all these relationships so that everything else will run smoothly, including your child's schooling. All right? So that's my presentation for today. And if you have questions, we'll wait for Teacher Paula to come in and she'll filter all the questions. And I hope we get to answer your question also. Okay, Teacher Paula.
Hey, Teacher Tina. Dami kong na-note na questions, as in,
Ay,
madami.
talaga.
So, we're going to prioritize. First one,
Yes.
can we get a copy of the slides, or will there be another way to view this again? Is this going to stay up live on your Facebook? Or
yes,
on
we can
video?
save it. We'll tell our trusty friend Arlene to post it and save it in Teacher Tina Zamora FB page.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So I hope that answers your question, Mia, from Zoom.
Yes. Yay.
Okay. I have another
Thanks,
question.
Mia.
I'm
Yes.
enjoying being a parent, but I feel like I would be less fun if I was more hands-on in academics. I'm afraid to be like Miss Minchin. How do we
pwede
answer
ka
this?
namang hindi. You don't have to be Miss Minchin. Paula, as you also experienced, our students love us when we're teaching them.
Kasi
diba?
progressive school tayo. But what about the trad ones?
At the same time, kasi with parents, mataas ang expectation natin sa mga anak natin. So, nagiging Miss Minchin tayo. Diba? Learning, if there is one thing that Teacher Paula and I can teach you as progressive teachers, learning should be fun. No, tapos na yung mga days na learning should be, has to be difficult. It has to be not fun. It has to be hated by the students. Learning can be fun. So, hindi po kayo magiging Miss Minchin kung hindi nyo po talaga goal maging Miss Minchin. I think we need to step back and think of our roles as parents first and foremost, rather than you, the teacher. Be a parent first. I'm sure you're more connected. Stop thinking about, am I being too much? Or if you are enrolled in an online school, leave the curricular things to the teacher. Diba, Teacher Paula? If you are homeschooling naman po, always make it a point to make it a fun experience for your child. Kasi kayo-kayo lang yung magkakasama 24/7.
Okay. We have a question here from Pauline Barion. I'm
Okay.
homeschooling my child. Is it true that kids can be less cooperative when the parent is teaching them? So parang related. Is it true?
Related siya. You know, if you're a member of Homeschoolers of the Philippines, you will see magnificent stories or amazing stories of parents and their children being so connected with one another. And they're going to help you out in your journey. So it doesn't have to be bad.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Pauline. And then there's another one that says, my child seems to be more bored and tired with online school. It looks like it's not fun. How can I
You
help with
know,
that?
you know what, parents? Online school has just started. You know, yung boredom, everything that's happening that you're seeing right now, that also happens in the physical classroom. Right, Teacher Paula? They get bored, they hide under the table, diba? They talk even if it's not their turn. Kasi may mga parents na nagsasabi, ang ingay-ingay ng Zoom class. Ganun dun po sila kaingay sa physical class. Give it a chance. Push, still attend. Because as in any physical school, there are also problems like that. Nakikita nyo lang kasi katabi nyo sila.
So true.
Diba, Teacher Paula? It's so true.
Yes. Okay, another question is, would you suggest for kids to still have tutor like before when it was regular school?
Even when it was regular school, the definition of tutor kasi is kung nahihirapan lang siya with certain subjects. Ang nangyayari kasi before, kahit yung normal homework, may tutor, Teacher Paula. So,
Mm-hmm.
ako, I would suggest kung meron lang talagang difficulty with a particular subject or a particular skill, then why not get a tutor? The hybrid na nangyayari ngayon kasi for homeschooling also is they get the curriculum and they hire a teacher to implement it at home or online. So that's also a tutor. If it really works for your family, then why not? Diba? But you also have to figure out why are you getting a tutor? Kung kaya po ng parent, kung enrolled ang anak ninyo sa eskwelahan, kung hindi siya nahihirapan with any subject, I don't think you need one.
Oh, so you're saying parents should be a little tiny bit more chill on the tutor if the kids are doing okay.
Chill, lalo na ngayon. We're in a pandemic.
Uh-huh.
Even before the quarantine or COVID, we want them to chill, right, Teacher Paula? Especially now, we want you to chill. They're not going to flunk this year. Because how? How are they? I'm sure all the schools are more conscientious.
Yes. Okay, we have another question here on Zoom from Miss Cherry. Can you elaborate more on the difference of blended learning, homeschooling, and the other one? Is it asynchronous?
To differentiate the three?
Mm-hmm. Elaborate more on the differences between blended homeschool and then the other one.
Okay. No, it's homeschooling, blended, and distance.
Okay,
Homeschooling is the teacher, the parent is the teacher and the facilitator. You get a homeschooling program from a school, you facilitate it at home. So ikaw lahat, Teacher Paula, except for the planning of the curriculum, which you will get from a homeschool provider. You will only plan the curriculum if you chose to go independent, meaning you make everything and you facilitate everything. Okay? For blended learning, you are enrolled in a school. There are face-to-face days and there are online days. That's blended. Blended learning has been in existence even before the pandemic. It's called the flipped classroom, di ba, Teacher Paula, na they get online activities and then they go back to the classroom and discuss it. That's blended. Matagal na yung meron. Ang definition lang ng blended ngayon, kagaya ng sinasabi ng DepEd, for regions that have very low COVID cases and can do physical face-to-face classes, there's a mix of that and online. Or just modules being delivered to their homes. That's blended. Kaya blended ang tawag kasi it's a mix of everything, depending on where you are. Yeah. For distance learning, it is 100% online, meaning there are live online classes and there are offline activities, but posted in a virtual classroom, which is also online.
Oh, Okay.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Miss Cherry Pakleb.
Yes.
Okay, there's another one from Miss Mia. As teachers, how do you suggest we approach parents who are very anxious about their child's schooling, especially those who are distance learning? How do we continue to reassure them?
You know, with teachers, first of all, you have to think that your parents are also going through this pandemic. You have parents who are frontliners. You have parents who lost their jobs. You have parents who did not lose their jobs but do not have the same capacity to provide for their children. You have to reach out to your stakeholders and families and check out what their issues are and how you can solve the issues. You really have to closely work with them. So, ang number one is there's an information drive that should be given. Give them the guidelines. How are we going to make it easy for you? Ano po ang kailangan ninyong gawin namin para mas madali ang online learning para sa inyo? So, reaching out is the number one thing that they have to do, Teacher Paula. Yung anxiety over online learning, we are all anxious about it. Diba? And what I like about Circle of Hope is it's teaching you how to be mindful of your emotions while you're going through this. So all of us are anxious. Let's help each other out to lessen the anxiety.
And if I may add lang, just a little bit to from a psychologist perspective on how we
Yes,
can
please,
continue to
please.
assure the parents and the families is if they say something, syempre hybrid teacher psychologist po kasi ako.
Yes,
So
perfect ka nga eh.
I can
Perfect ka
see
nga
it for both of these things. There's this thing we do in psychology as psychologists, it's called validation. So one of the most important steps in there is for you to pause and be able to listen to what the concern is. Kasi ang tendency din po natin as teachers would be to go on problem solving mode. So pag
That's
sinabi na
right.
mahina po yung internet namin sa bahay, sasabihin natin ganito po yung paraan para i-troubleshoot. But really, what the parent would be waiting for is for you to validate and to hear them out. So sometimes when we pause and just when we nod like this, that's also already a validation. When you say, naku, oo nga po, that sounds really hard. And then how can we make it work for you? Listen first, a long listen might be necessary. And minsan gusto lang po nilang mag-unload on us.
Ay,
So ang daming
totoo yan,
roles ng
Teacher Paula. You know what? When we have parent-teacher conferences, it's more their anxieties than the anxieties of the children. That's why
That's true.
schools should also provide frequent parent-teacher conferences para lang makausap nyo rin yung mga magulang kasi nasi-stress rin po sila. Tama yung sinabi ni Teacher Paula that a feedback channel is always important. You always have to listen to the parents telling you how it's difficult for them and how you're going to ease their load.
Okay, I think we have time. This is one last question. You mentioned, Teacher Tina, that relationships always precede everything else. What are your suggestions to keep my child connected to classmates? Because social interactions are important and they're getting kind of little of that.
Yes, that's true. Not only that, Teacher Paula, when you go back to the real world or whatever future world we're going to enter in, iiba na yung nuances nila socially, no? Hindi na sila makakapag-hug, kiss muna, or shake hands. You need to stay connected by having Zoom playtime. And we also encourage schools na yung 1 hour, for example, that you are allotting for class, why not leave 15 minutes just for the classmates to talk to one another, to mimic the class dynamics, na hindi pinag-uusapan yung curriculum, nag-uusap lang sila chatting about their day or what games they're playing. Can we set a play date for Saturday via Zoom or via Google Meet? Those are crucial things that should happen right now because of physical distancing.
Okay. Thank you. Oh my gosh. That's all the time we had. We can go on the whole day about this.
We
Thank
can
you.
go on, yes. Lalo na kaming dalawa ni Paula, we can go on and on and on. But it's nice. Thank you also, Paula, ha, kasi yung Circle of Hope made this live in the Teacher Tina Zamora page. And that page is really dedicated also to help out parents and teachers that if you have an issue with what's happening in the school year, please send us a message or post a question and we'll be glad to answer it together with all the other teachers helping me out.
Yes. Okay. I hope you guys, those who are watching us on Facebook Live, on Teacher Tina's page, and those of you who are here with us on Zoom, thank you. I hope you learned a lot of things. Sobrang dami nating takeaways. Thank you, Teacher Tina. Thank you to our audience. Can we just request for everyone to turn on their cameras for a bit so we can take a sort of class picture if that's okay?
Naku, surprise attack yan. Biglang may magli-lipstick. Oo.
Okay, ilang
Pero
seconds na yun
gusto ko rin
tayo.
yan, pahingi ako ng copy, Teacher Paula.
Sure. Yeah. Ayan. Wow, it's wonderful to see everyone's faces. It's nice. Hi, everyone. Yan. It's nice.
Over-exaggerated daw ang mga waves ngayon kasi ganyan na ngayon
Oo.
tayo. Kailangan mag-wave ng mag-wave.
Okay. Ready when you are. Are we good, Marian and Micah? Yes?
Thank you, Paula. And
Thank
thank you
you.
for also advertising School is Life. The book is available through Shopee. Thank you, Ateneo Press, for publishing the book.
Yes. And we're collating all of the questions. We're going to pick winners later.
Yay!
Yes, we're going to give away 2 of the books. Okay, just in case we
Thank you,
forgot,
thank
it looks
you.
like this one. It's wonderful. It's amazing.
Wonderful.
Okay. And now, thank you also for doing the picture with us. Thank you, Teacher Tina. Thank you to our audience. Before we go, I would also like to invite everyone to share with us your feedback. Okay. We are going to have a QR code up here. And the link, you can copy the link and type it on your browser or scan the QR code. And I would also like to invite you to this afternoon segment. This room is going to be on effective financial management at 1 o'clock with Mr. Pesos and Cents himself, Mr. Ayala Raya. Thank you, and we hope to see you back at 1.